Hi, my name is James, and today I'm going to take you through the most important chart of our lifetime, the interest income versus interest expense chart for the Federal Reserve, where now for the first time since 2022, interest expenses exceeding interest income. And as you can see, under an ample reserve system, the costs are very high for raising interest rates, and often it leads to a surplus of reserves on the liability side of the balance sheet, which can compound and blow up the whole balance sheet. And this is not just a problem happening in the Federal Reserve, it's happening all over the West. In the Bank of England, the RBA, Bank of Japan, they're all creating these unprofitable central banks because interest expenses or the interest in excess reserves is exceeding the coupon income, resulting in the bank becoming unprofitable and resulting in deferred asset being created. So pre-2022 and up to 2008, a lot of deflation was occurring because the SOMA rate or the interest income or coupon income for the Federal Reserve exceeded the interest on excess reserve expense, which was historically low at 0.5%. What this meant was a lot of deflation was occurring, and basically little inflation was occurring from the interest in excess reserves, resulting in a surplus of reserves in the asset side of the balance sheet. And what this meant was that the central bank was profitable because coupon income exceeded the interest expense, and what the Federal Reserve did was send this off to the Treasury. So it was basically a net zero change in equity for the Federal Reserve and net zero change in inflation. And this $82 billion went to helping the US government paying down the deficit. The problem is that post-2022, the interest in excess reserve and the expense exceeded the SOMA interest income or coupon interest for the central bank, resulting in net inflation. The problem is this resulted in an accumulation of reserves on the liability side of the balance sheet, which then offset the assets. The problem is it's very hard to get rid of this accumulation. These reserves now compound at the interest in excess reserve rate, and there's nothing on the asset side to offset them. So they can quickly compound, overrun the assets of the balance sheet, and basically send the liabilities to infinity. On top of the interest differential loss, there's also this loss caused by quantitative tightening or bond slippage losses. And what this means is that basically you're buying at a premium and only getting the face value back during passive quantitative tightening, and this results in basically an excess supply of reserves on the liability side of the balance sheet. And also during hard quantitative tightening, when you sell at market value or at a discount, you lose even more basically reserves to the system, basically stay in the system. And the problem is these losses or realized losses accumulate over time, and they basically add to the excess losses or the interest differential and make a massive amount. The problem is that this basically pushes the asset side down towards zero, and this pushes the liabilities towards infinity and can result in hyperinflation if not addressed. As you can see here, the realized losses are pushing down the interest income because now there's less assets to basically receive interest from, and also the interest differential is causing more interest in excess reserve expense as we have more reserves in the system. The only way to really address this is to bring interest rates down and let the interest income exceed the interest expense, and this will basically reverse this trend, and if you leave it down for long enough, hopefully undo it all. The problem is inflation runs hot. This can cause FX problems. I really want to summarize in this fact that the ample reserve system is not designed for high inflation because interest rates cannot be sustained for long durations above the interest income because it leads to this compounding factor and really hyperinflation and a loss of control of central banks. It's not just happening in the Federal Reserve, it's happening in all over the West. Bank of England, RBA, Bank of Japan, and it's going to get worse and worse if inflation continues to rise. An ample reserve system needs low inflation, otherwise everything goes wrong very quickly.